Welcome to Streaming News Network, Evening Edition, by J. Claude McDaniel. News without the hype and biased reporting. Please like and subscribe.
This is J. Claude McDaniel with Streaming News Network. The United States Supreme Court has declined to hear constitutional law professor Alan Dershowitz's appeal in his defamation lawsuit against cable news network, leaving lower court decisions in favor of the network unchanged. Dershowitz argued that commentary about his defense of then-President Donald Trump during the first impeachment trial falsely portrayed him as believing a president could commit illegal acts if done for re-election. He claimed the broadcasts damaged his reputation as a respected constitutional scholar. Although the Supreme Court refused to take the case, Justice Clarence Thomas, joined by Justice Neil Gorsuch, issued a dissent stating the court should reconsider the long-standing actual malice standard established in the 1964 case New York Times v. Sullivan. That legal standard requires public figures to prove false statements were made knowingly or with reckless disregard for the truth before recovering damages for defamation. Cable News Network argued that its coverage reflected opinions and interpretations rather than false factual statements and maintained that Dershowitz failed to present sufficient evidence to support his claims. Despite the setback, Dershowitz says he believes the Supreme Court may eventually revisit the actual malice standard in a future case. This is J. Claude McDaniel for Streaming News Network. A new study suggests that your daily cup of coffee may be doing much more than helping you wake up. Researchers at University College Cork found that both caffeinated and decaffeinated coffee may improve the health of the gut microbiome, the community of microorganisms that plays an important role in digestion, immunity, and communication between the gut and the brain. The study found that regular coffee drinkers had higher levels of beneficial bacteria believed to help fight harmful microbes and support digestive health. Researchers also reported that people who drank decaffeinated coffee demonstrated improvements in learning and memory, while those who consumed caffeinated coffee experienced better attention and reported lower levels of anxiety. Scientists believe naturally occurring compounds in coffee, including polyphenol, may be responsible for many of these effects, suggesting caffeine is only one part of coffee's overall health impact. Researchers caution that coffee should still be consumed in moderation. The study also found that habitual coffee drinkers showed higher levels of impulsivity and emotional reactivity, indicating that coffee's effects are not universally beneficial. The research adds to growing evidence that diet and the gut microbiome may play an important role in supporting long-term physical and mental health. This is J. Claude McDaniel for Streaming News Network. Former Hollywood producer Harvey Weinstein has been hospitalized after reportedly suffering acute heart failure while in custody at Rikers Island. According to reports, Weinstein had been battling pneumonia before experiencing difficulty breathing. He was transported to the prison ward at Bellevue Hospital, where he remains under medical care. Reports indicate his condition has improved, although he is not yet cleared for discharge. The 74-year-old is currently awaiting sentencing following his 2025 conviction on sexual assault charges. Weinstein has also been diagnosed with chronic myeloid leukemia, a form of bone marrow cancer, and has experienced multiple medical issues during his incarceration. His attorneys have previously argued that he has received inadequate medical care while being held at Rikers Island. Weinstein has described his time in custody as physically and emotionally debilitating. Weinstein has faced allegations of rape or sexual misconduct from more than 100 individuals over several decades. He has consistently denied allegations of sexual assault, while acknowledging personal misconduct. This is J. Claude McDaniel for Streaming News Network. Advanced nursing and dozens of other academic programs are now eligible for higher federal student loan borrowing limits under changes introduced by the Trump administration. The updated eligibility list takes effect today as part of a broader overhaul of federal student loan policies signed into law by President Donald Trump. The changes increase borrowing limits for qualifying professional programs while also introducing new repayment options, placing new limits on parent borrowing, and transitioning millions of borrowers away from the previous administration's income-driven repayment program known as Saving on a Valuable Education, or SAVE. The expanded list follows ongoing legal challenges over how qualifying academic programs should be defined. Federal officials say the current designations are temporary and intended to comply with court orders while litigation continues. The administration maintains that its revised definition is lawful and says it will continue defending the policy in court. If future court rulings favor the administration's narrower interpretation, some programs that now qualify for higher borrowing limits could lose that eligibility, potentially requiring schools and students to adjust their financial plans. This is Claude McDaniel for Streaming News Network. The United States Supreme Court has issued a closely divided ruling reaffirming that children born in the United States are citizens at birth under the Citizenship Clause of the 14th Amendment, regardless of whether their parents are in the country lawfully or temporarily. Writing for the majority, Chief Justice John Roberts concluded that individuals born on United States soil are subject to the nation's jurisdiction and therefore qualify for birthright citizenship under the Constitution. Justice Clarence Thomas strongly disagreed, arguing in a dissent joined by Justice Neil Gorsuch that the ruling departs from the original intent of the 14th Amendment. Thomas wrote that the amendment was designed to guarantee citizenship to those domiciled in the United States following the Civil War, not to every child born to foreign nationals regardless of their legal status. Justice Samuel Alito filed a separate dissent, warning that the decision could encourage illegal immigration and birth tourism. He argued that any change to birthright citizenship should come through the constitutional amendment process rather than judicial interpretation. The decision leaves in place the long-standing interpretation of the 14th Amendment while highlighting continuing debate over the scope of birthright citizenship in the United States. This is Claude McDaniel of Streaming News Network. Police in Plantation are investigating after a child was found deceased inside a vehicle parked outside a World of Discovery Academy. Authorities say officers responded late Monday afternoon after receiving a report of an unresponsive child. Emergency responders confirmed the child had died at the scene, and detectives have launched an investigation into the circumstances surrounding the tragedy. According to the school's owner, the child's father reportedly arrived to pick up the child after work and then realized the child had never been dropped off at school that morning. The child had allegedly remained in the back seat of the vehicle throughout the day. The school immediately contacted emergency services. Officials have not released the child's identity, and investigators have not announced whether any charges will be filed. Safety organizations continue to warn that heat inside a parked vehicle can become deadly within minutes. They note that many of these heartbreaking incidents involve caring parents who unintentionally forget a child is in the vehicle. Authorities urge caregivers to develop reminders, such as placing a personal item in the back seat or checking the rear seat before locking the vehicle, to help prevent similar tragedies. This is Claude McDaniel with Streaming News Network. California Governor Gavin Newsom has signed legislation that would impose a 100% state tax on any payments received by California residents from a proposed federal compensation fund established by the Trump administration. The fund, valued at approximately $1,776 million, was created following a settlement involving President Donald Trump's lawsuit over the disclosure of his tax returns. According to the administration, the program was intended to compensate individuals who were harmed by what it described as politically motivated investigations or prosecutions. Governor Newsom criticized the proposal, referring to it as a slush fund, and said California should not allow state residents to benefit from payments if the program is ultimately implemented. The fund's future remains uncertain. A federal judge has issued an injunction preventing any distributions while legal challenges continue. Although the Department of Justice has indicated it is no longer actively pursuing the program, the court has kept the injunction in place pending further proceedings. If the federal fund is ultimately authorized, California's new law would effectively redirect any payments made to California recipients by taxing those distributions at 100% under state law. This is Claude McDaniel with Streaming News Network. A former United States Army soldier has been convicted in the death of his wife following a 2-week murder trial in Alaska. 23-year-old Zarius Hildebrand was found guilty of second-degree murder and evidence tampering in connection with the August 2023 death of his wife, 21-year-old Saria Barney Hildebrand. He was acquitted of first-degree murder and faces a maximum sentence of 99 years in prison. Sentencing is scheduled for October 23. Prosecutors argued that Hildebrand intentionally shot his wife after she discovered messages suggesting he had been unfaithful. They alleged he then concealed the crime by disposing of her body, cleaning the scene, sending messages from her phone to make it appear she was alive, and later reporting her missing while participating in search efforts. During his testimony, Hildebrand denied intentionally killing his wife, saying he had little memory of the events because he had been drinking heavily. However, he admitted to disposing of her body and cleaning evidence from their home. Jurors ultimately concluded that the evidence supported a conviction for second-degree murder and evidence tampering. This is Claude McDaniel with Streaming News Network. Victor Willis, the founding lead singer of the Village People, has died at the age of 74 following what his family described as a short but aggressive illness. The announcement was made by both the band and Willis's family, who requested privacy during this time. Born in Texas, Willis became the unmistakable voice behind some of disco's biggest hits, including YMCA, Go West, In the Navy, and Macho Man. As both lead vocalist and co-writer, he helped propel the Village People to international fame during the late 1970s. In recent years, YMCA gained renewed attention through its use at political events. After initially objecting to its use, Willis and the group later agreed to perform during President Donald Trump's 2025 inaugural celebrations, saying they hoped their music could help unite the country following a divisive election. Victor Willis leaves behind a musical legacy that has endured for generations, with songs that continue to be heard at sporting events, celebrations, and concerts around the world.
Thank you for listening to Streaming News Network videos and our short reports. Please like and subscribe to our news channel.